Welcome to the Fill Your Cups podcast. We're your hosts,
Morgan
and Bailey. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever you're listening to us through, we want to let you know that we are also on YouTube. So we are giving it a try this time. We heard from a couple people that they felt like they would really love it if it was on YouTube because they work from home or they want to watch it at the gym or whatever. And so we're giving it a try.
Yeah.
We did put last week's up, so this will be the second week that it's out on YouTube. Mm-hmm. But we'd love for you guys, if you feel like you like watching things a little bit more than you like listening to things, definitely go there and kind of support us there. And if you know people that like YouTube better and aren't super into podcasts, but you could see them being into this, we would love for you to send that to them because we want to reach as many people as possible.
Absolutely, yeah. So thanks for that feedback. And definitely share with friends who may be less into podcasts but are really into YouTube. Mm-hmm. We would love it. So today we're talking about the Enneagrams, and if you've not heard of Enneagram before, it's a personality typing system based on core desires and fears that shows you the why behind your actions, so your motivations. And the focus here, just before you're like, oh my gosh, it's another episode about personality types, and I already heard about the Enneagram, I already know what type I am, whatever. We don't really go into typing you, so that's not our focus. We don't want you to figure out, oh, I'm a 2 or I'm a 7 or whatever. Mm-hmm. We want to talk a little bit more about the different types and how knowing the different types can help better you in your relationships and how it can be helpful in all areas of life. So for us, it's benefited us a lot in our own relationships, and we talk a lot in this episode about especially the ways that it can benefit you by improving your communication, helping you show certain Enneagram types love, and the ways that you handle conflict. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Well, what you drinking?
I am drinking a margarita because it's Friday, baby.
Heck yeah, for us, although this is coming out on a Monday.
That's true. You're probably judging us right now on the way to work, drinking margaritas. Just kidding. I actually haven't even tried it yet.
It's really good.
Here's my first try.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's really good.
You kind of made a grossed out look.
Okay, I think I do. I think I do that when I drink any type of margaritas.
Actually,
it's like a pucker. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's a little sour.
Yeah. I also
it's good, though. It's from our favorite place for margaritas, Casa Mexico in Blue Springs. Mm-hmm. I swear it's different than other Casa Mexicos. At least the margaritas.
Are there multiple Casa Mexicos? Is that like a chain?
Yeah.
Didn't even know that.
I'm pretty sure.
I knew there was one in Independence because I went there with Shaylin, but...
Well, I just knew that there were multiple, but they do it. I've seen them. They do it with, like, fresh lime juice, fresh orange juice. So good.
Yeah. It's quite tasty. I feel like by the end of this episode, I'm going to get a little drunk. Sorry.
Oh, well.
Oh, well. It's Friday.
Anyway, did you have a shout out for the episode?
Yes, I did. We have over 500 downloads, aka listens. It's so freaking exciting. 500 is crazy. I think we've said this before, but when we first started, our goal was like 50. We were like, we'll just be excited if we can have 50 listeners. Like, that would be awesome. Yeah. Right now, we have over 500 plays all together, and this is our 9th episode, and we got that notification on our 6th episode. So
yeah, that was so exciting.
It was so exciting, so cool. I looked up all the locations, and we have a total of 9 different countries that are listening in.
To me. Like, I know. Who's listening to us in France?
I don't know, but I want to say right now, if that is you and you are listening to us another country, tell us. Send us a message. Comment on one of our Instagram posts. I don't care. That's just so cool.
You can comment in French.
Oh, yeah. My mom knows French, so she can translate it for us. Just kidding. But, no, seriously, that's so cool, and we are just so thankful for everybody, and I just think it's so exciting every day that I think of how far we've come so far, and it's just... like,
it's been so fun.
It has been so fun, and I've loved it. So that is what is really filling my cup, and that was my big shout-out to all of you guys.
Shout out to everybody who's had a download that contributed to those 500 downloads, and please continue contributing.
Yes.
This episode is coming out on my birthday, so that can be your birthday gift to me.
Aww. Yes, share, download, continue, review.
Anyway, now into the episode.
Yes. So excited.
Today, we're talking all about Enneagrams, which is so much fun. We love talking about Enneagrams, and hopefully you do too. So, do you want to share a little bit of how we thought of this?
Yeah, definitely. So, I feel like if people have been listening so far, they've probably heard us mention Enneagrams. And I don't think that I would have any idea what an Enneagram was if it wasn't for you.
I've actually heard people, like, to me it's very commonplace, but I've heard people when I talk about it be like, and what? You know, it's kind of a weird word.
Yeah.
So sometimes I forget that it's not that commonplace.
Yeah, it's not that common, I don't think. Because there's people who I know that are really into, like, horoscopes or, I don't know, like any other personality test.
Yeah.
And they have no idea what Enneagrams are.
Myers-Briggs is a big one, too.
Yes, definitely. So with all that being said, you and I are super into Enneagrams, I feel like. Whenever you first told me about it and I, like, took that hour-long quiz and got the Enneagram, that for me, I was like, this is 100% accurate.
Yeah.
I felt like I understood myself so much better. I felt like I could understand other people better once I, like, thought about what their Enneagrams would be.
Definitely.
Now it was me self-diagnosing them, but I feel confident about most of my Enneagram diagnoses.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one because just like any other personality exam, depending on, like, the state that you're in when you take it or things like that, it may affect your answers. But the thing that I really love about the Enneagram that makes it different from other assessments, like the Myers-Briggs or something like that, for instance, is, so have you taken the Myers-Briggs test before?
Is that like, INT?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, but it's been so long.
Yeah. So, well, I think it's really informative and helpful as well. But the thing that I love about Enneagram is when you take those quizzes, at least they should be like this. Some of the free ones I feel like are iffy. Like if it's a 10-question quiz, it's probably not going to tell you
like
perfectly.
a BuzzFeed quiz.
Yeah. It's probably not going to tell you perfectly like what motivates you in life, you know?
Yeah.
But what Enneagram is based off of, there's 9 types, and it's based off of core motivations or core desires and core fears. So the fear is just like the flip of the desire. But the reason that I like that is because unlike horoscopes or like human design is a new one. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's a big new one, but it's based on like when you were born, like what time, where, all of that.
Oh my gosh.
And it's this whole thing. I haven't gotten enough into it, but it does seem cool. But it's just another one of those. It's based on things that it fixed things that like obviously you don't have control over, which you don't have full control over your personality. But it's instead of being based on like your birthday or Myers-Briggs is a lot more based off of like behaviors that you have. Like when you take the quiz, it's a lot more about, do you like checklists more than you like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I still think it's really helpful to know those sort of things. But Enneagram being desire based instead of behavior based, I think just is so much more enlightening. And the reason I feel like it's so much more enlightening is because it doesn't just tell you about yourself.
Yeah.
It tells you about other people. Because I know we said this on a previous episode, but I can sometimes have a hard time with people who think differently than me. I think anybody could relate to it. But yeah, so I have a hard time with people who think differently than me because I'm like, obviously your thought process should go A, B, C. And their thought process goes C, A, B. And I'm like, what? No, that's crazy.
People might be saying, I am doing ABC, but to them, you're doing
like XYZ.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just totally different. So that's why I love Enneagram, because instead of being behavior based, it's more about the way that you think and what drives those thoughts and behaviors.
Yeah.
Which I just think is so much more valuable, because other personality exams, I feel like people can get really wrapped up into what does this mean for me and what becoming more self-aware. And I think self-awareness is amazing, but I think it's even better when you can take it and apply it to your relationships and just empathizing with people better and having better, if you live with someone, it's really, really helpful to know why they do things, because even simple things like loading the dishwasher, for someone who really likes structure and control and that's like a part of their core fear is being out of control or then that makes a lot more sense why they are really particular about the dishwasher, whereas someone who really values individualism and creativity or whatever might just like toss things in the you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I feel like it just creates an understanding with your relationships.
Absolutely. I like it a lot too because I feel like the Myers-Briggs and the tests like that, all the ones that we're used to are they're like personality tests where it's like, oh, you like this, and you might like this, and you might like this. But I feel like the Enneagram is the why behind everything.
Yeah.
Why you do the things that you do and why you kind of like desire certain things or whatever like that. Like why you strive for
exactly
these things. So I think that's why I really loved it.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a very much real life thing that I was like, wow, I can actually notice these everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not just like, are you an introvert or an extrovert? It's like a very much pointed personality traits.
Definitely.
And I love it.
And I think like knowing that why you're doing certain things is really helpful. But then honestly, when I started deep diving into the Enneagram, which was honestly when I was in college and probably had way too much free time on my hands, but I started doing deep dives, I felt like I almost got more benefit from reading from Enneagrams that were way different from me.
Yes, you start understanding them a little bit more and you're like, oh.
I'm like, oh, that's why that makes sense to
Yeah.
them. So that's why we're talking about Enneagram. Of course, I will gab with you about any personality or, anything like this. I love this kind of stuff.
Yep.
But that's why we're focusing on Enneagram today, because we feel like that's kind of the core of where it can impact.
Yes. So if you don't know what Enneagrams are, hopefully this episode will help you out and just kind of give you a base knowledge of it. And then if you do know what Enneagrams are already, then you'll know how it can kind of affect your life and affect your relationships. And we're just going to dive into all of that.
Okay, so before we dive into the different types, which we're going to do a super quick run through because I don't think that we could sit here and go through everything with each
We'd
type.
have to do a 9-part episode.
Seriously. A series, yeah. There are 9 types, but I do want to say before you like Google Enneagram quiz or whatever, you totally can take a quiz if you want. I don't think it's totally necessary to figure out, quote unquote, what your Enneagram is in order to benefit from hearing about the Enneagram or even reading about it, because I think no matter what, you can read about ways that people think and things that drive other people, and so I think that's really helpful. But I will say, so we were talking about the quizzes that we took. I actually did take like a paid one. I took a free one, and then I took one that was like $17 or something. I could send it to somebody. All of my roommates took it, and honestly, at the time, I'm like, how did I justify spending $17? Because that was a lot.
That means you were really into it. Because you don't spend $17 on anything.
Seriously.
We are cheap.
Yeah. But yeah, so I took one, and I don't know if I can even think off the top of my head which one in particular it was.
Yeah, me either. I know I took a free one, which I'm surprised about because you showed it to me. So
Maybe
I wonder if we just searched for a free one. But then I had all my friends, and I like had my coworkers at one point taking this test. So we'll link it.
When I was super into it, I did like tell people I recommend the paid one. But then I would be like, but if you want a free one, I think this one's good too.
Yeah, you totally did.
And it was so long ago, I can't even remember. But
well, I have to ask, did you get the same result on both?
So the thing that I liked about the paid one was it kind of ranked them. So you could, and so did the free one, but it kind of showed the pie graph and all the stuff. Yeah. Anyway, but I do think I got the same overall result.
Nice.
Yeah, but like some of the ones later were a little bit different. Like
yeah.
Some of my second and third and that sort of thing.
For sure.
But yeah. So do you want to go ahead and start out real quick with the number one?
Yes.
Type 1?
Yes. So a type 1 is known as the reformer. Its basic desire is to be good, to have integrity, and for there to be balance. Their basic fear is of being bad or being defective.
Yes, and just a heads up that we do have like a little graphic to read off of. So if you're watching this on YouTube, where we're now podcasting.
Oh, yeah, we should have said that.
No, we didn't. Oh, well. If you're watching this on YouTube, then you might see us looking down for a little bit at this point. But type 2, this is the one that I typically get on my quizzes, is called the helper, and their basic desire is to feel loved, and their basic fear is of being unwanted or unworthy of being loved.
Type number 3 is the achiever. Their basic desire is to feel valuable or worthwhile. Their basic fear is of being worthless.
Type 4 is the individualist. Their basic desire is to find themselves and their significance or to create an identity. And their fear is that they have no identity or personal significance.
Mm-hmm. Number 5 is the investigator. Their basic desire is to be capable and competent. Their fear is being useless, helpless, or incapable.
Type 6 is the loyalist, and their desire is to have security and support, and their fear is of being without support and guidance.
Mm-hmm. Type 7, which is me, is the enthusiast. The desire is to be satisfied and content and to have their needs fulfilled. Their fear is to be deprived and in pain.
Yeah, those bad feelings.
Yeah, those are bad feelings.
Type 8s are the challenger. Their desire is to protect themselves or be in control of their own life. And then their fear is to be harmed or controlled by others.
Mm-hmm. And the last one, type 9, is the peacekeeper. Their basic desire is to have inner stability and peace of mind. And their fear is of loss and separation.
Okay, so that was a lot of info, but just to kind of run through them, and obviously you can look more into them if you, just from that list, if you have not taken an assessment or haven't really heard of the Enneagram, maybe you immediately kind of gut identify with one, and you can go read a little bit more about it and see like, oh, okay, does that actually apply to me? But we really want to focus on, instead of like typing ourselves or typing you or you figuring that out, I really just want to emphasize that we're focusing more on other people and how this can improve your life overall and like your relationships overall. And the first thing, which is my disclaimer that I wanted to share, my first thing that is a tip with this or any other personality exam is that this maybe, as our therapist friends and our book club say, this may be an explanation, not an excuse. So
our therapist friends say that at book club. I've never heard them say that at book club.
Seriously?
And I love that.
Yeah, Jordan and Lindsay, shout out. Yeah,
that's so good.
Yeah, they're like, it's fair to listen to, for someone to explain why they did something, but it also doesn't excuse that behavior. So I feel the same way with the Enneagram, that maybe, you know, having a need to control people explains why I behave a certain way, but at the same time, it doesn't excuse if I'm really rude.
Yeah.
Out of a need to control them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we can't just say, oh, that's just her number. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah. I feel like people do this a lot with horoscopes. I hear it all the time, like, oh, it's just because I'm a
Pisces.
Yeah. What's the common one? I don't know. Like
Leo.
Hey, I'm a Leo.
That's super common, I feel like.
It's just because I'm a Leo.
Yeah. I'm a Scorpio.
Yeah, which I think, again, these are so fun, and I think they inform you so much and can really improve your life. But I don't think that they're excuses for just being nasty.
Yeah.
Or flaky or whatever the bad trait is that comes with it. So do you want to talk about how it can help your life?
Yes, I would love to. So I feel like it really helps understand other people.
Yeah.
And it helps you like emphasize more with them.
Do you have an example of someone who's like in a different Enneagram than you?
Oh, yes. I don't know if he'll love this, but Mason's a type 3. He's an achiever.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, it's him to the core. Now, he's never taken the test, and he doesn't care about these, but I'm always like, it's because you're type 3. Like, you really are. So, like, for him, it means a lot to do well on things, or to be successful at things, or to, like, reach every goal. And for me, it's not as important. Like, I like it. Yeah. Of course I like that. But to me, I'm like, okay. So, it helps a lot whenever, let's say, like, right now, he's trying to do 10,000 steps a day for all of July.
Is he trying to do that?
And he's been 100% successful so far. But it's because at like 10 p.m., if he needs like 2,000 steps more, for me, I'd be like, I'm not going to get those 2,000 steps. I got really close to it, but like I did this, this, and this, and my day feels fulfilled. For him, he's like, no, I have to go on a walk because I have to get my steps. Like it's not even about like the health benefits and things like that. It's because the goal is set now.
I totally relate to that.
Yeah. So like that's his, I don't know, that's his desire.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a huge one who in my life I'm like, I am never a type 3 ever.
Yeah.
And you're totally a type 3. It's really, it is cool to see because then I can understand him better. and things that are super important to him, instead of me being like, dude, why are you freaking out about this? Or like, you just need to chill out. I can understand where he's coming from instead, and like know how to talk to him, I guess, and know how to soothe fears and things like that. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, I definitely think that it helps understand people better and empathize with them, and instead of you being like, that's dumb. You did a lot of physical stuff today. Even though you didn't get to 10,000 steps, you're fine. Just get over it. It's like, instead you can reason that, okay, this is a number. This is a goal that he set, and that's really important to him to achieve it.
So I'm going to support him in that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would say, so a lot of the understanding I feel like I gained from this, I think of back to when I was in college, because honestly, me and my roommates geeked out about this. You remember? My roommates, the Butte girls is what we called ourselves, because we lived in a house called the Butte, and all of us, I think we were all different types.
Really?
Yes. And
that's fun.
It was fun, but what it was so enlightening about was how our dynamic worked, and like people, like those of us who did butt heads more and that sort of thing. So it just really gave a lot of information. And I think like one thing that I'm thinking of in particular is, so 9 is like the peacekeeper.
Yeah.
There was one of us in there. Fun fact, it was not me. but 9s are very like, they don't like conflict. They want everything to just be like quiet and happy and
peaceful.
Yeah, exactly. And they're usually not ones to start conflict or really engage in it, and also might avoid it.
Yeah.
And even when it's like right in their face, and so I feel like sometimes for some people that type of personality can be really frustrating, because it's like, no, we need to talk about this to get past it, and you know what I mean? And so it can be really frustrating, but then when you think about that person really, I guess, let's see what their desire is, just to have stability, and their fear is loss or separation. Like, conflict can really cause loss and separation. So for them, it makes, I feel like it helps to make a lot more sense when you think about, oh, well, this person isn't in, like, if you're a challenger, for instance, conflict, you thrive off of it. It's funny because I know I said, like, I go to kind of that in stress, but people who are challengers, Jared's never taken the test, but I really could see him being one.
I could see that too. Because for him, he really does enjoy it. Like, he's not fighting with you.
Well, and he would never say, he would say, like, we're not fighting. We're just talking.
We're just talking.
Yeah,
like,
but he sounds like he's fighting sometimes. And for him, it may be very important to him to have that control, and like other people not control him or whatever, but also just like challenging thoughts and ideas and that sort of thing. And specifically when it does come to conflict, it being important to talk through rather than avoiding it. Like, for someone who is avoiding it because they're maybe the number 9 and they're like peacekeepers or whatever, that's where those two can kind of butt heads, because the challenger honestly can walk all over the peacekeeper, but if the peacekeeper is not, or if the peacekeeper is not engaging in conflict at all, then the challenger's like, well, you just don't even care.
Yeah, for sure. I think back to whenever we first took this test, and we had like Mom take it. Mom, if you're listening, shout out. And she's the number 1, right?
Yes.
I think this one calls her a reformer, but some of them call it like the justice keeper or something like that.
Something like that,
yeah. Something like that. But I think back to her, and so she's the number 1, which is the desire is to be good, to have integrity, and to be in balance. So for her, it's really important that things are right and that things are just.
Things are pretty black. Things are pretty black and white. It's like, that was right, that was wrong.
Yes, very black and white. And I remember taking this, and honestly, now I was probably like 17, still in like the house and everything like that. I was like a big old brat. But now I'm like older, and I feel like I can see it even more now. But for her, that is so important. For me, that is not important, because I would rather have a good time. I'd rather not talk about anything that's going to cause a fight or like make the vibes bad. I would rather just be like, okay, like, shove it under the rug, move on, it doesn't matter. But for her, she's like, no, it does matter, because that is her, like, that's a core desire of hers, not a core desire of mine. So I feel like even now when there's things that I'm like, I just don't care about that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if this needs to be said, but like, I don't care about politics. I'm sorry, I don't. She super cares about politics, and that would make sense for a number 7 not to care,
right?
And a number 1 to care.
That's 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that's like a huge one in our lives that I'm like, it's totally different, and we like have to learn how to work with each other.
Yeah.
Personality wise.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah. So I feel like understanding others and empathizing with them was kind of the first way that we were thinking that you can use this to improve your life. Mm-hmm. The second way is really bettering your communication and really just making it as good as it possibly can, because if you know somebody's type or you even know your type, you can better the communication between you two. So when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about like compliments, for example. Yeah, like when like you were just talking about you and mom. Like if I told mom, wow, that is a really good point, I never saw it that way, and that just makes me think about the world totally differently. She would take that really well.
Yeah.
And you would probably like that compliment too.
Oh, of course, I'd be like, ooh, wow.
Yeah, you'd be like, really? But
Literally.
but I feel like if I told mom, or if I tell you, like, oh my gosh, you're so much fun, you just like light up the room, and everybody was just having such a good time because you were around, and the vibe is always so good when you're around, whatever, like you're like, oh, that's all
I feel like I just took that to heart. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, it's true. But yeah, so I feel like compliments can kind of land a different way. So if you really wanted to connect with someone and make them feel valued, it can really help to think about what motivates them and what their fear is, because like for me, like for being a 2 and feeling like sometimes unlovable or like something like that, I feel like when people tell me or like give me their time and give me their love and really like take the time to tell me like, wow, you are, you know, whatever, like you're a really important part of my life or something like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, it makes me feel like, it truly makes me feel like what I'm doing on this earth is not wasted. You know what I mean?
Like everything's worth it. Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel like it could also, on the flip side of things, be so helpful in arguments. Because if you know how like your partner feels and you know what their basic fear is, because most people respond out of fear. Yeah. So the way we argue, the way we thank you. Just kidding. The way we argue, the way we like, I don't know, resolve conflict, I feel like a lot of times can be out of fear unless you're very aware of how you're arguing, I guess. But
maybe 5s, because they're very logistical and knowledgeable and analytical. Yeah,
true. Yeah, and so example of 5's fear is being useless, helpless, or incapable. If you were to be fighting with the 5 and you were to say, like, I just feel like you don't do anything, like things like that, that would hurt them so much, you know? And that would be, that's like their core fear, and you're just going in on that. So if you know what your partner's fears are, your children or your parents, like whoever you're spending a ton of time with, and you can navigate those conversations or figure out how to best word things so it doesn't touch those fears, I feel like that helps a lot too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that we even were gonna say it can improve conflict resolution.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you totally hit the nail on the head there, and I definitely think that it can help if you go into something with a loved one and an argument or something, and you know that not even just what their fear is, but also what they want out of life, you know, like what they're motivated by and what they desire. Like at the end of the day, all that I really want is to feel like you think that I'm very lovable and like very worthy and, you know, that sort of thing. And so at the end of the day, like when we have a fight, it's really scary for me because I'm like, oh my gosh, what if at the end of this they don't feel like I'm lovable, you know, or whatever. And so being really like gentle and that sort of thing is like, I think the type of communication that it can help you with is good too. I don't know. I could see also types of communication being different for each one too.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
Like the type of language that you use with an achiever might be different than the type that you use with like mom. For a reformer, being just and being good and being
speaking
right.
in facts.
Yeah. That may be different than someone who's like an individualist, like a 4, and is very like creative and artsy, and you know, talking with them may be different.
Yeah, I will say for Mason and I, again, with him being a 3, the achiever, and me being a 7, the enthusiast, if we are having like an argument or we are talking about something serious, for me, I'm so willy-nilly with my words that like I'll say something and he'll be like, well, why would you say that? Or like,
that was a little frivolous.
Yeah, something like that. And he's like, sometimes I just need you to choose your words better, because to him, that is so important. To me, I'm like, okay, but you knew what I meant. Like, because it's just so carefree, and it's just like whatever's going to speed this up faster so I can get out of this painful conversation. Like, because in an argument or in something where I'm like having to admit that I did something bad or that I could be better at something, that's like a fear for me.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be in a stressful or painful situation like that for me.
Definitely.
And so I'm like, let's just get out of it. And for him, he's like, no, like we need to fully break this down. It's important to him. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So like the way you talk and the way you communicate.
Yeah.
Is so different for each type.
Yeah. Cool. I think that we talked about like understanding them, and obviously we're really emphasizing other people and understanding other people and not focusing so much on me when it comes to personality and all that. But I do think what you just said is really good, that it can also help you in understanding how you need to enter, or like what's motivating you when you're in conflict resolution. Because you saying like, I'm just really motivated to kind of get out of the negative stuff, that maybe can help you be self-aware and be like, okay, this is important. Yeah. I need to tough it out. It's uncomfy and it's not in my basic nature to stay here, but I need to stay here. Yeah. So I think that it can definitely help you just voice that to your partner, whoever you're working through conflict with. Yeah,
I completely agree. I think the Enneagrams are so cool, again, just because it really is the why behind things. Yeah. And what is driving you and kind of why you're acting or speaking or thinking the way that you do. Yeah. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. I feel like we've driven home the point.
I think so, too. I think it'd be really cool if anyone was super interested about what the Enneagram numbers are or anything like that. I know that I would love to talk about it with anyone who is interested. I know Morgan would too.
We'll definitely post some stuff on our Instagram too. This week with some info about Enneagrams.
So you can kind of figure out what you think you go for. You can think about what you think your kids are, what you think your wife is, or anything like that. I would love to kind of talk about it with you guys if anyone is super curious about it. Yeah. I think it'd be really fun. And if you do end up taking one of the quizzes, I'd love to hear what you guys are.
Yes. That'll be fun. Yeah. Please let us know if you do any of the ones that we share or just ones that you find. Yeah. And I have been getting DMs from people about episodes too. So just a reminder that if you really resonate with this one, please share it with a friend. And if you are willing to share it with us too, that like you did, you could potentially be the next shout out.
Hey, look at that. Yes, DM us, text us, comment, whatever. Just let us know that you're enjoying it.
I wonder what type shout outs would be most important to.
I don't know.
We'll look into it and get back to you.
Love that.
Anyway.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in.
Have a good rest of your day.
Cheers.